My God, Bill, you're turning blue. Does someone know how to give the Heimlich maneuver emoji? Come on. Okay, so welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. I guess this is officially the Halloween edition or the Halloween Eve edition. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a Halloween feature we'll do a Halloween show just preemptive, or I'll just do a live stream and anyone can do whatever the hell they want. It's been a long week. I want to thank everyone who came out. By week, I mean from last Wednesday to this Wednesday. On Thursday, I had a great reading with Tony B, who then showed up. That was a reading in Cambridge that she hosted, and in turn, she came and read at the event, the Stone Soup event on October 15th at the FPAC Gallery on Summer Street in Boston. Thank you to everyone who did, because I'm very grateful for that, because I wanted to make sure that Stone Soup was represented, that we weren't just faceless entity on the website. And I'm having a hard time delegating the things, but you guys are making it easier, so I appreciate that very much. And moving on from that, we'll hopefully have an announcement for who our new feature is for November. I haven't been able to hear from my first choice. I'm still hoping that she selects December. She's someone who I've tried to get for the last almost a decade, about decade and a half now. So we are hoping that that person says yes, but the person I'm going to ask follow up is also a great choice too, who's also been a past Stone Soup feature. So no sloppy seconds here. Everyone's going to get a turn, hopefully, and stay tuned for more information. We're going to get to the open mic. The Randinator 5000 has selected our selection, and we are now Sharon Holds. I met her too. I have an autographed book. Joy, I could say Joy Harjo. I could actually write her and be like, "Hi, I'm Chad Parento. You might remember us from that one of 1,500 anthologies you've been asked to contribute to that you have on your shelf and hadn't had a chance to read. I'm in one of them." I come to think of it, I might actually just write her with that pitch in mind. Anyway, Troy McClure voice off, and let's feature the poets here tonight. That being yourselves, and our first choice according to Randinator 5000, we have Miss Rusty Rose.
Thank you. I did not know tonight was the Halloween edition.
Well, it is now that Bill's wearing looks like a spooky narrator for a UHF kids show on in Boston on Saturdays.
Well, I do have one I would submit. You've heard it before, to oddball, but I wanted to start with one that you've heard. It was an oddball. I think it was last year. Was it this year? Because in 2 days it's Jack Kerouac's anniversary of the death. So I want to read Transcending Generations, and I'm going to make a reference to pink girly slippers, because when my father and I were with him, he would just put on these pink girly slippers and walk, to the bar with us or ride in the car with these slippers. So I'm just going to tell you the reference there. So this is Transcending Generations. On the road in his pink girly slippers and Japanese kimono, Canadian club in hand, and snapping his fingers to jazz, he saunters to Washington Square Park. And on a converging road wearing fringe moccasins, I trot along McDougal Street, browse head shops along Bleecker, and humming a popular tune, I then come to rest on a boulder just beyond the men playing chess in Washington Square, and I strum my folk guitar with resolve. Mushroom to enhance creativity, he offers. And I sing the blues all the while, intrigued by him and his black shades, black Japanese kimono, black beret, and roll of nickels bulging from pocket. And I'm charmed by his toe tapping and feathery pink slippers, bopping head and finger popping. He exclaims, "Good beat, man, really beat." And his shy eyes study my psychedelic hippie threads and seed beads. "Groovy, man," I reply, plucking a 12-bar beat. He raises a paper cup to my lips, and I swig the sweet whiskey. He flashes his blue eyes. Beatific man, you wail, nickel for your thoughts. Heavy man, I reply, far out. And hand in hand we stroll, beat the gravel to burn like a yellow Roman candle. And that's for Jack.
Thank you, Rusty. And now, I like that one a lot. And now we go to our narrator of tonight's creature feature. His name is Bill Lewis. And by the way, for those of you who never grew up with Dale Norman of a radio DJ hosting on WLVI TV 56, the Creature Double Feature, you guys missed out on life. Later, here's Bill.
It has of late come to my attention that at King's Chapel here in Boston, there is to be held a seance. And they have requested those of us who have verbal artistic abilities to come and enchant the audience with tales of horror in the past. And so I would ask your indulgence for this moment, for this tale that I have to tell, and if you would be so kind as to give me advice as to how you think it might go tomorrow night in King's Chapel, where you can attend for the price of, I don't know, I think it's price of 3, but as it would certainly be, well, why should I tell you what it will be? Let me tell you. The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could. But when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given Fortunato any cause to doubt my goodwill. I continue, as was my wont, to smile in his face. And as he did not perceive that now my smile was at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. Although in other respects he was man to be respected and even feared, he prided himself as a connoisseur of wine. Few Italians have the true virtuoso spirit. I was skillful in the Italian vintages myself and bought largely whenever I could. It was about dusk one evening during the supreme madness that is Carnival that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he had been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had on a tight-fitting party-striped dress. His head was surmounted by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never be done wringing his hand. I said to him, "My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you're looking this day. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado. I have my doubts." "Amontillado," he said, "a pipe? Impossible! And in the middle of Carnival?" "I have my doubts," I replied, "and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You're not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain." "Amontillado?" "Well, I have my doubts." "Amontillado!" "As you are engaged, I shall be on my way to Lucia. He has a critical turn. It is he will tell Lucia. Cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet some fools will have it that his taste is quite the match for your own. Come, let us go." "Whither?" "To your vaults." Thus speaking, Fortunato pressed his He fell upon my arm, and putting on the mask of black silk and a roquerie, I suffered him to hurry to my piazza. I took from their sconces 2 flambeaux, and giving one to Fortunato, led him through several suites of rooms to the archway that led to the vaults. I passed down a long winding staircase, requesting him to be cautious as he followed. We came at last to the foot of the descent and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. The gait of my friend was unsteady. The bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. "The pipe," he said. "It is further on," said I, "but observe the white webwork which gleams upon the cavern walls." Here I beckoned, broke off the neck of a bottle of wine, which I drew from a long row of its fellows, and gave it to him. "Drink," I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips. "I drink," he said, "to the buried that repose here, and I to your long life." At the most extreme end of the crypt, there appeared a less spacious one. "Proceed," I said, "herein lies the Amontillado. As for Lucia—" "He is in the rabbits," interrupted my friend. He stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed immediately at his heel. In an instant, he had reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress arrested by the rock, stood stupidly bewildered. A moment more, and I had fettered him to the granite. On its surface there were 2 iron staples. From one hung a chain, and the other a padlock. Throwing the links around his waist, it was but the work of a moment to secure it. He was much too astonished to resist. Withdrawing the key, I stepped back from the recesses. "The Amontillado!" ejaculated my friends, not yet recovered from his astonishment. "True," I said, "the Amontillado." As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones which I have spoken of before. Throwing them aside, I uncovered a quantity of building material and stone. With these materials, and with the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall up the entrance of the niche. A succession of loud, shrill screams, bursting suddenly from the throat of the chained form within, seemed to thrust me violently. I replied to the yells of he who clamored. I re-echoed, I aided, I surpassed them all in volume and in strength. I did this. The clamor grew still. It was now midnight, my task drawing to an end. There remained but a single stone to be fitted. I struggled with its weight. I placed it partially on its destination, but now there came from within the niche a low laugh that erected the hairs upon my head. It was succeeded by a sad voice, which I had difficulty recognizing, that of Fortunato. The voice said, "Oh, a very good joke. Yes, an excellent joke. We will have many a rich laugh at the palazzo. Yes, over our wine. Oh." "The Amontillado," I said. "For the love of God, Montresor!" "Yes," I said, "the love of God." I forced the last stone into its position. I plastered it up. Against the new masonry, I re-erected the old rampart of bones. For the half of a century, no mortal has disturbed them. Rest in peace. How was that? Are you creeped out? Is that like the creepiest damn thing ever? I freak out when I read it. I go, "Oh my God, this is..."
Stephen King's older stuff was so much better. I agree, Bill. Anyway, I know that most of that facial expression was fake, but it's still classic. Anyway, up next, keeping the spooky motif going or not, who knows? Real life scary as it is. Let's welcome up Miss Jan Rowe.
That reminded me of having to leave the small town theater when I was in grade school when they were playing Fall of the House of Usher, a double feature, Pit and the Pendulum. Still, okay. Well, this is a draft I'm working on for the other writing group I'm in. Why did rents triple in 2 decades and incomes did not? Follow-ups on tasks can be difficult, so difficult, sometimes not done. However, I usually repeatedly try. I know how to beat a dead horse. As the biblical proverb urges, getting up after falling. So in August, I journaled that the housing advocates had visited the new head of the government agencies of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. The head of HFHA, I'm sorry, I forget what that acronym means. Sandra Thomas is the name. So the housing advocates meeting needs followed up by email or postcard because envelopes are delayed. They have to be checked for anthrax still. Some concerns for Sandra Thomas, the head of the HFHA, whatever that is. Are more vouchers given than housing exists for them? Is the Section 8 program inadvertently helping rents triple? Why would the government allow Thomas Barak to buy 31,000 foreclosed homes? Oh, an aside. Tom Barak, Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein were the nightlife musketeers of the 1980s or 90s. Well, anyway, Barak's corporation that bought these 31,000 foreclosed homes, allowing $800 per year for maintenance. Hence, a ceiling fan often reported as bad falls onto a bed near a sleeping baby. So the housing advocates reminded Sandra Thomas that Barak's Corp needs federally backed mortgages, and every increase in housing costs to own or rent results in noticeable increases in homelessness. So I'm working on that for that group where a lot of them are homeless or recently housed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. We're going to go to our first phone contributor. Let's welcome up, ask her to press *6 and unmute herself, Miss Nancy Dotson. Nancy, you got to press *6. There you go.
Cool and chilly. The dogs come in right away. It is not my turn to go out. First, it will kill the plants because house plants are bedded ones. Fear of a kill makes me bring them in tonight. Frost kill or what? Will they survive? I doubt it.
Thank you, Nancy. We are now moving on to, yes, this person has a limited amount of time with us today. So it's good to get him on a little earlier than we often have. Let's welcome up Mr. CCR Chagra.
Okay, I have an experiment that I'm working on. It's a highlight reel of crap that I've done. I actually, for the first time in my life, submitted for a grant, and they want something, and so I had to. So it's basically an experiment. I'm trying to make one. I don't know if it's it or it's not done, but I thought I'd share it with you because I think in doing it, considering I don't have access to everything over the years, but I want to share that. Is that okay? So let's see.
Do I need to enable you to share?
Yes,
Okay, let me do that right now.
it's on my desktop, but
Actions app, whiteboard. Oh, here we go. Security.
the little carrot next to share. The green thing, the carrot,
Yeah.
allow, I think. Only the
That
host
is-
has the,
Oh, here we go. Allow attendees. Oh, this is allow attendees access. I'm on the wrong thing.
only the host has the little
Here we
carrot
go.
next to the share screen.
Here we go. One participant, multiple participants.
Either one works.
Okay, you should be all set.
Okay. All right. Okay, here it is. Let me make sure you turn the sound on or don't. It's got glitches in it. I don't know why it flashes green, but this is the experiment. So it's about 5.5 minutes only. Let me know if stop me if you can't.
We're gonna take it from the top now. This is for posterity. We are from physics. We have Ashley here.
C.C. Ashago, ladies and gentlemen, resident poet.
This is a piece of your dream now. Remember a piece of your dream. Doing what you have to do to cover your own forehead. So you can live a piece of your dream.
I think I will not die today. Although I just might melt away into a dream that's here to say, love, stay, and I'll stay with you.
You're the artist. Start there. The next note you think is the one you're playing. You do not have to compose fear. You do not have to compose misery, problems, the people who don't love you, don't like you, don't see you, don't believe that you are a work of art, that this is art, that we are art, that we are on a floor, in a house, in a home, because you're here. You're home. Welcome home.
So inhumanity will always be afraid of humanity. It will be afraid of love, the same way survival is afraid of love, or survival is afraid of death. And with these two major themes that I just presented, I am trying to say that there is no system of humanity on Earth. There is no system of free speech within the monetary system, within the fuel system, and within the social systems on the planet Earth that truly allow and foster a system where humanity can actually be practiced as a living work of art. This is the essence of the human room open voice. This is the difference between benevolence and a malevolent reality. The difference between transcendent of malevolent realities and transcendent of division.
When honesty comes to poetry's height falls, height falls, height falls, height falls. The birthing words are now touching the soul's call. expressions, both fire and ice, making no sounds.
When we are no longer kind beings, are we no longer humankind? Growing goes to war with knowing. Wasting time steals both clocks' hands. The soul pretends to wear a mask as if life without one can't face death. Kingdoms, castles, dungeons, graves. Survival only wins its ruins. Pleasure cannot capture home, nor hold love as possession's own. Growing goes to war with knowing. Wasting time steals both clocks' hands. The soul pretends to wear a mask as if life without one can't face death. When sleep wakes up, the monsters come. Fear's belief is on the run. For victims hostage you are not. War's endings are subconscious plots. Da-da-da-da-da.
Thanks so much, CC.
So I think if you have to, if you have an archive of stuff you've done and it's diverse enough, I think it comes in handy when you're asking.
Definitely.
I've never asked for money before, but it's for a docu.
Definitely.
The grant idea is for a thing called docu-dialogue. It's an experiment. I went to the Black Bear Music Festival, and I set up a little thing with Anne Marie and the Buttonwood Tree and her husband Mike, and I had a camera and a set, and I came up with this idea, and people sat down and they basically two people talking, and they tried to not communicate. It's a little more elaborate than I'll get into now because my time's up, but it was a lot of fun. And the head of the festival said he's going to try and get me a spot in the festival to put up a banner saying, "Do you want to be in a documentary?" And then you get filmed, and then it gets excerpted, and it's a study of can non-communication produce wisdom. But it's really hard to not communicate on purpose. So it's fun, and people end up laughing. So I think I'm onto something, and I got convinced to go for a grant for it. And that's it. Thank you. I'll try and stay as long as possible, and forgive me for leaving early.
Appreciate that, CC, and good luck with the grant. And now, let's welcome up someone new to the mic here, or at least our mic. He's been in several other places before, but my first time I remember seeing him here. Let's welcome up Mr. Robert Fleming.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a word artist from Delaware. Would I be able to share the screen? Oh, it's up. Okay.
You should be able to.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. So the first time I come to an event, I always try to share based on the title. So this is my stone. Well, Da Vinci fly. Wood has no winged bird soul. Need a soul to fly. And now I'm going to share my soup. This is an alternative flash fiction, Soups, a lost book of the Bible. There came a time when the people of Campbell found their vat empty. The people cried out, "Lord, why have you let our vat go dry?" The water in the vat separated from the broth. The people spooned their prayers, but the Lord did not bring forth soup. The people abandoned idols and turned to the Lord. The people destroyed all the idols of rain. As rain released water onto the earth, rain was called by the Lord. Rain, you've been a releaser of water. Come with me and be a maker of soup. Rain followed the Lord and became the Campbell soup maker. In the time of Christ, Mary Magdalene worked as the whore of Nazareth and made soup. Mary pinched herbs into boiling water and soup splattered onto Mary's eyes. When Mary washed Jesus's feet, Mary cried. Her tears souped onto Jesus's feet. When men lay with Mary, Jesus souped. Whose veins are filled with blood and not soup, shall not soup from the vat. Jesus was in Galilee and entered a walking on water contest. Jesus won the competition, but was dethroned. Jesus did not walk on water. He walked on soup. Jesus, before walking, spooned mushroom soup onto the Sea of Galilee. The mushrooms separated from the soup and formed mushroom pads. Herod ruled. Jesus walked on mushroom pads. 5. Despite that Mary and Jesus had performed the miracles of soup, the people's vat was empty. The people asked Jesus to give the sacrament of soup, but Jesus souped not. Jesus said, I am the only soup of Christ. 6. The people disobeyed the Lord at the shores of Galilee. The people hit the rock of soup with a ladle, and soup came forth. God was angry because he, her, was the only one allowed to bring forth soup. The Lord punished her, his children. For 40 years, the Lord made her children trek Campbell soup until they reached a new bowl, Progresso soup. Thank you. And I will share that I will be a featured reader at Planet Poetry 28 on October 28th, and I will put the link in the chat. And thank you for welcoming me to Stone Soup.
Thank you for coming aboard. And let's see who we have next. Yes. Let's welcome up someone who was actually at our live shows, both live shows last week, the one on Wednesday with Carla Schwartz and the gallery event. Let's welcome up Mr. Chris Fitzgerald. Unmute yourself, sir.
Okay, so you can hear me.
Yes.
2 poems from about 35 years ago, and 1-page introduction, literary introduction to it's about 2 years old. Freedom is understood by the artist means you're accountable for your being, accountable for your moments. Your moments are your engagement with the world outside of yourself. In Robert Frost's words, poetry's grabbing life by the throat. Most people's thought patterns have been shaped by religion, political theory, philosophy, all non-artistic pursuits. You just want to join a group that is on the right side of history. But if you're an artist, you're extremely familiar with James Joyce's Stephen Dettelstein line from Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, history is a nightmare from which I'm trying to awake. Or in game show words, Alex, can I have assholes just like me for 600, please? Now, I did about 4 pieces on grade school. This is one of them. I ended last week with my impeachment as 4th grade class president. Thought I'd do the 5th and 6th grade this week, but I got kicked back. Not in real life, I was always promoted. But since the title of this is Inquiry into the Supposition that there's nothing you can name that is better than a dame, and I didn't introduce a girl who sat in front of me who I stated I made her laugh all year long, well, I thought I'd explore that relationship a little more. If I hadn't started writing this piece, I have no idea how many years would have passed before I discovered what a beautiful time I had in that 4th grade. Not that things have gone downhill since. I've always been very fortunate. First off, I never kissed her. I was 9, she was 9. Among my friends at the time, it wasn't really socially acceptable to admit of the possibility of being capable of liking a girl. 6th grade was when that door was open, even though in the 4th, everyone knew something was going on. 4th grade was baseball and football and the strictly boyish games. One couldn't walk a girl home from school. I can just see myself leaving the schoolyard with her at the end of the day and running into my friends. Hey, Chris, where you going? Aren't you coming with us, tackled on the beach? No, I'm going to the library. That big spelling test next Wednesday. I want to be prepared. Are you going with her? Yes, I am. But she's a girl. I don't care what she is. All I know, she's one good speller. Show the fellas. Onomatopoeia. I can hear her now. ONOMATOPOEIA. My friend's gasping in awe. She's good, Chris. Damn right she's good. So much for redo and spent time. Instead, I had to be content with whatever pleasures offered to me from this early relationship. Not quite family, not quite friend. On Sunday at church, 8 o'clock mass, you were not placed in the school seating arrangements. It was the girls who sat in the first 3 or 4 pews and the boys sat behind. No one was in uniform. I remember seeing her on Sundays. I just hope she got half as much pleasure at seeing me as I got from seeing her. We had a little something no one else knew about. Wow, what a face. At school, the things we would laugh about, variables off a root story that we had agreed upon early on in the school year as mutually humorous. No doubt, to my mind, this was a joint creative effort. What would have happened if I had kissed her? Well, my whole life would have been different. Time I gave to Foxy, Buck, tackled on the beach would have been seriously imposed upon. My inability to be myself, in those days, I was being fed and housed and spoken to in an authoritative manner while they called themselves mom and dad, would have put a crimp in my ability to express myself. A relationship can't be real and growing unless its participants are real and growing. So if I had kissed her, instead of being a poet who recites his work in the city of Cambridge on Monday nights, I'd probably be, to hazard a guess, a reindeer herdsman in Lapland. Yo, Blitzen, what the fuck? What am I talking to myself? Late night, the whole bit? I have to put up with this? You do know Terry the taxidermist and I exchange Christmas gifts with every year. And this is the last one, a short one, called The Lady with the First Step. This is also 35 years. You know, baby, I like you so much that everybody who isn't you, I don't like. Not that they bother me or owe me money or something. Oh, they're all right. Your face, I can look at it 1,000 hours without getting tired for one moment. Your body, impossible for me to associate an unpleasant ounce concerning it. The way you move, your first step, you instantly break into such a graceful glide. I never knew someone could start out so well. Oh, I know, Fred and Ginger, nothing. 2 steps it took them, 2 steps. Belinsky, 2.5, Kolochov, 3, 4 during the matinees. You know, baby, I not only love the way you look, I love the way you look at me. Indeed, that is the way I should have been looked at from the get-go. Then again, what should I have ever have expected from this group whose first step hadn't even noticed? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now we go to legacy poet Julian Powers.
Thanks. Lying in bed and suddenly hear a tapping on the roof. Working the night shift, I fell asleep as the sun rose. Then the little taps turned into a worrisome amount of taps, followed by strange, unidentifiable screaming. Then these taps started on my window glass. This weird harassment can't be coming from just one someone. There's no wind or storm. The sun is shining as I get up to take a look. With all the dancing and commotion on top of my home, I walk over to see my cat peering under the shades intensely out the window. I push the curtains aside and see a face that I've never seen before. They open their mouth and yell so loud at the sight of me. Now I'm face to face with this unexpected gathering, pacing back and forth on top of and around my house. It's comical, really. Looks like this is my new neighbor's greeting. Oh, and now they're eating all of my garden. I wish I had a warning to be prepared for the spectacle that is this giant, unruly congregation of free roaming, absolutely ridiculous and very rude guinea hens. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Let's move now to our second phone participant. I'm gonna have to help unmute her. It's good to have her back. I'm gonna see if we can have an online component for, if not November's reading, then definitely December's. We're gonna do our best to try so we can keep our online group for every time we have Stone Soup. For now, she had to miss it, but now she's back. Let's welcome Carol Weston.
So, little poems have been running out of my head, so here they are. Mailbox, I pour into your heart slices of the body of my mind. The smooth silence of the bike, wheels turning. Leonard, I have a hellfire tongue to burn your flesh. The madder I am, the more I write. My anger, unpublishable poem pieces. Dog, how many thousand years ago did you smell into the corners of this street? Think that dogs live in a different century, thousands of years ago. They're sort of walking thousands of years ago, but they're among us. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to
Thank
go.
you,
Gotta
Carol.
go back.
Oh, take care, Cece. Oh, she's gone. He's gone. She's still here. We'll see you around 2. And now, who do we have next? Yes, Mr. John Wizik.
Okay, so I have a holiday tradition, and that tradition is attempting to sing this Dead Kennedys parody. If there were any musicians in the house who want to attempt to accompany me, you're certainly welcome to try. So you suck the blood from a girl or two and think that you're a fright. Turn into a bat, drop the hemostat, you're a creature of the night. You make your escape in a black silk cake and sleep inside a tomb. Dream till noon of a dining room and all you'll consume. You think there's nothing left to fear, but your fangs won't help you here. Brace yourself, my dear. Brace yourself, my dear, for a Halloween in Cambodia where even vampires scream. It's a Halloween in Cambodia, no escaping this bad dream. Werewolves might take a sheep or two and kill them while they flail, but they can't compete with human race, making death on industrial scale. No candy bars or trick-or-treat will keep Khmer Rouge away. Bullets and backs, knives and throats, and gruesome perch displays. Now the death squads had their fun. Even monsters turn and run. Better flee, my son. Better flee, my son. From a Halloween in Cambodia where skulls are stored on racks. It's a Halloween in Cambodia's megalomaniac. Pol Pot! Pol Pot! Pol Pot! Pol Pot! Pol Pot! If you spend Halloween in Cambodia, you'd better change your plans. It's a Halloween in Cambodia. No killer is worse than man. Pol Pot! And of course, that's in my collection, The Shaman in the Library.
Okay, wow. I think James Van Looy has been challenged to a rap battle. I don't know, but thank you for the link, sir. Can't wait to take a look at that. Okay. Oh, actually, I did buy that. I would love a link to the Dead Kennedys song that it's parodying, because I'm not that Dead Kennedys is not big in my oeuvre, but now it needs to be. Up next, moving on with music. I didn't think we. Oh, actually, before the music, we're going to go to Mr. Magister Golf, Mr. Fred Golf.
Thank you very much. The piece that I read Saturday, and there are a few people who haven't heard it here, a few people who have, and a few people who haven't. It may seem familiar. It's called The Sorcerer. The Sorcerer. There was once a sorcerer who traveled throughout the land. Now it was a time of greed and excess throughout the kingdom. The sorcerer saw the degree of poverty that the people had to live in. So he went to the great hall in which the rulers and the wealthy dined. He saw that there was more to eat there than could ever be consumed by this very small group, while people were starving outside. He told the princes that no matter how much they ate, they would feel the hunger of the poor until every last person was fed. Within the week, poverty had vanished in the empire. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And now we have the musical stylings of Mr. Ethan Mackler. That looked exhausting, Ethan. Very nice. Thank you. Let's now we become a little bit less randomated and a little more predictable as we get to the end. So without further ado, let's get to our second to last person on the open mic. Let's welcome up Julie Marie Hui.
Hi, thanks, Chad, and thank you for the posting a poem on my birthday. Do you just pick one at random when you do that? Because that's what I thought. Yeah. So thank you for remembering. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay. This is called Multitudes of Stories. Laundry hangs draped in the air, as if floating, as the wind rises and even when it rests. Halting motion when the wind sleeps, dried by the eye of the sun, with the assistance of wind. The genesis when your hands pin with consideration of the weight, the texture of each particular garment. Colors graze the air, paint a multitude of stories, varied by the viewer's history, desires, dreams. Perceptions, connections shared, spiced accordingly, multitudes of stories for each to choose and to churn. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And without further ado, maybe a little bit of ado, let's welcome up, maybe a Mountain Dew. No, I have hot chocolate already. Let's welcome up. Plus I gave up almost all sodas about 5-6 years ago. Let's welcome up our final speaker for the first round of Round Robin Part 1. Check out his poem column, It's All One Thing, which features every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock at oddballmagazine.com. Welcome up, Mr. James Van Loy.
Yes.
You're still muted. You're still muted. You never unmuted.
Okay. So I have a poem here from just before the pandemic started. And so it's from 2019. And it's one of my all one thing poems. It's all one thing. Hi, bye. Gentrification amidst poverty, fast track condos, and crippled tea service. Oh, and the guys who beg at 7-Eleven, waiting for change at the doors everywhere, and of course, nowhere. A house of cards waiting to fall. All one thing. The child abuser in chief who ran the teenage Miss America, Agent Orangehead, who bragged about his duty to inspect the girls' accommodations when they were changing. Agent Orangehead, who bragged he would just grab them by the pussy. Agent Orangehead, whose Secretary of Labor as U.S. Attorney withdrew the feds from the Epstein sexual trafficking case, where Epstein acted out with dozens, maybe hundreds, who knows, thousands of underage girls, 14 and 15 years old. This went on for years more because Agent Orangehead's labor secretary was faced down by Epstein's lawyers like Ken Starr, who caught Bill Clinton in the old perjury trap about a blowjob, and Alan Dershowitz, Zion's mainstay of AIPAC, who kept his pants on during the massages. Such high power hubris, and all just part of pattern. Harvey Weinstein and Agent Orangehead with their bagmen and fixers, the National Enquirer to issue the payoff and buy up the stories. Ew, what an icky, horrid, unctuous, yucky, all one thing. But the sanctions are still on Venezuela, Iran, and oh yes, Cuba too, but never say empire, as the military budget goes up, and the infrastructure goes down, down into the ground. Andrews Station moving with long delays, still apparent. hard swishing, weeks after the derailment, every trip in and out of town, a reminder of disability, decay, and destruction. Oh, one thing in America, oh, one thing, just remember, it can always get worse. Something I learned in the Army. And I think I have a song.
Ghost killers. You learned that in your.
We owe him away. Oh, him away, oh, him away, oh, him away. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, that quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Oh, him away. Oh, him away, oh, him away, oh, him away. In the village, the peaceful village, the lion sleeps tonight. Near the village, the quiet village, the lion sleeps tonight. Whim away, 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 whim. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Ooh-ee, oh, him away. Ooh-ee, oh, him away. Oh, him away, whim away, whim away, whim away, whim away, whim away. Ooh-ee, oh, him away. Ooh-ee, oh, him away. Oh, him away, whim away. Whim away. Boy, oh boy, the pipes aren't necessarily what they once were before COVID. Thank you.
Did you come down with another cold, James?
Yeah, I have had a thing that I've been dealing with, and I really think it is actually some kind of long COVID thing that actually it gets in my eyes. It's like in my eyes and my sinuses, and it just it's like I got sandpaper in my eye sockets.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man. Feel
I think
better.
it's a long-term consequence, but you know, I keep working with it, and the singing actually does help it. So anyway,
Glad
thank
to
you.
hear. We're gonna keep it going. Now we just have provided the vocals. Now we can supply the beats once more, thanks to Rusty Rose, starting from the beginning of our roster list.
Okay, I'm going to share, and I read this, being it's Halloween, I read this a while back, and if you'd like it for Oddball, if it fits in, just let me know, okay? So I'm going to put it on the screen so everyone could follow along. It's a little fun thing. It's called To Poe or Not to Poe. To Poe or not to Poe, is one Poe or Polis? This I do not know. Did the raven fly nevermore, or is he still sitting on high evermore? This I do not know. Is Annabel Lee in a sepulchre by the sea, or is she a ghastly sprite dancing the waters free, never to dissever? This I do not know. Is the pit a bottomless abyss with each pendulum swing, or has the wake been stilled in a yawn of granite going amiss? This I do not know. Could Fortunato remain chained inside a catacomb, haunting the Amontillado? Or has he cut his own hand to escape and is searching for his carpal bone? This I do not know. Does the telltale heart still wildly beat under a floorboard? And does the old man's vulturous, filmy veiled eye of blue glare at you as above you take a seat? This I do not know. Is poetry an art form named for his namesake, or is it simply the art of rhyme and verse? This I do not know. But Poe, perhaps I really do know. I know perhaps it is Edgar Allan Poe who has lent flavor to all forms of poetry and prose. I surely know, and know it I do. Poetry is Edgar Allan Poe, and Edgar Allan is poetry. This notion, one would say, is quite absurd, but absurdity is the human condition penned by Edgar Allan, and so I do intensely know, I know most intently so. This I do savor with much favor, the astonishing works of the one I know, Sir Edgar Allan Poe.
Bravo! Bravo!
Would you like that for the Halloween or something? Or
I'll let you know, I promise.
okay.
I'll make acceptances now, but I did enjoy it for tonight. And I guess we'll keep the Crypt Keeper going. It's his turn up on the mic. Our
Yay.
resident Crypt Keeper, our creature feature host. Let's welcome up back up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Why, thank you. I knew she was too young for me, so I wasn't going to exactly make a pass at her or anything, but we were there together and we had to be working together, and she did have a beautiful smile. And she leaned on my arm when we were walking together and we talked, and it was very enjoyable. I mean, she's just a beautiful young lady. And I mean, she's not that young. She was actually a little bit old not to be married, I was thinking. So who knows? But I certainly wasn't going to say anything. Oh my goodness gracious. And she was dressed. Oh my God, she was dressed to the nines, to the tens. I would have had a nice suit on, but she looked like $1 million. And oh, her dress, it sparkled and glittered with the metal that I was just, and there she was on my arm. Oh, how could I not just in my imagination think of, well, being with this woman, perhaps marrying her and having children. And I just got fantasizing, you know, wow, the children, we would go back and we would see the in-laws. What would it be like for the kids? Oh, that'd be so cool to have in-laws who live out in Savannah. Oh, they go running out and they'd be herding goats and just spending the summer out there. And oh, yeah. Oh, what a wonderful thought. The one problem with the dress is that it was metal. And we were going through metal detectors. And so they were detecting a lot of metal because we were visiting Congress, and we had met in the morning on the House side, and then we went over to the Senate side for our meeting, and then we came back to the House side to meet a representative, and back to the Senate side again. I think they went through 4 detectors 4 or 5 times, and every time they had to stop her and beep, 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 going, and they were apologizing. They were apologizing to us, but you know, there it is. You have to do it. She was on my arm, and that would be so cool. Could you imagine being married to a Maasai woman and going out and visiting the relative and spending time out in Savannah, chasing goats and spearing lions? And oh my God, I thought it'd be the coolest thing in the world. And yeah, it's not realistic, but God, it was a really nice fantasy.
Thank you, Bill. We're gonna bring back one of our members on the phone, will be joining us by phone. Let's welcome and ask her to unmute again by pressing *6, Miss Nancy Dodson.
Guilt, fear of a thief being caught by God, possession of my theft as God sees through me. My mission's reflection shatters my insecure self. Guilt that damaged my melting soul, destroys me and causes pain within. Greed and desire pervades me. I'll want and want, but I refrain, for still I have a guilty soul. All my love is lust with fiery desire. Guilt at the thought that my spirit will die. The Antichrist dwells within. I am nothing. I sin.
Oof. Good one, Nancy. Thank you very much. And now up next, let's bring up Miss Jan Rowe if she wishes to read again. And it looks like she does.
Yeah. Hi. Sometimes I think I watch Democracy Now! And then I go out and write about what I heard. This is an obituary in a way. It's called In Remembrance, Billy Southern. Lawyer for the Death Belt. That's East Texas through the South. Billy Southern died age 45 years. Billy Southern was able finally to free Albert Woodfox, one of the Angola 3 Black Panthers, and falsely accused of murdering a prison guard. His widow said the Angola 3 did not murder her mate. So Albert was freed after 44 years, unjustly imprisoned, over 40 of those years in solitary. Billy Southern was 1 year old when the Angola 3 were imprisoned, and now he's dead at 45. Now, the Southern solitary cells had bars on one side, and Albert was able to teach a fellow prisoner how to read. Albert's mom could only write her signature. Another of the Angola 3, Herman Wallace, died of liver cancer within days of release. A judge had threatened to imprison the warden unless Herman was released. Robert King, the only one of the Angola 3 still alive after 29 years in solitary. Now, the death penalty had been abolished. So they tear gassed the people in solitary in their cells for some reason. Now, Albert Woodfox died age 75 of COVID after being released 6 years prior. He was smiling broadly on release. Albert, for comfort and safety, often thought of Nelson Mandela's 27 years imprisonment, saying, if a cause is noble, you can carry the weight of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And because we don't have CC this time around, we're going to go back to Mr. Robert Fleming, if he's ready. He's ready.
Good evening. I'm going to share some Halloween visual images. So this is called Perils. And this will be the cover of my horror book, hopefully next year. And then I'll show another one. This is a word art, visual poem. When shade isn't enough, give grave. And happy Halloween. I hope you'll be able to sleep. Greetings from Delaware.
Thanks to Robert Fleming for representing Delaware, and thanks for Nico for representing Pugdom in Julianne's photo. Julianne's camera. I guess we can't see him now, but here now. But oh, there she is. There she is. But caused a little bit of an uproar in the chat. Nico's a rabble rouser. And let us go now to Mr. Chris Fitzgerald, if he's still. Yes, he is right here. All you gotta do is unmute yourself, sir, and you're good to go.
All right, so you can hear me.
Yes.
All right, this is the last one from 35 years ago, and it's but it with a little modern introduction. I have done 4, maybe 5 poems that women's bums have played a major role in. This is the one that kickstarted my women's bum poems genre. I made my bones with this one. 2nd grade, Benjamin Dean School, South Boston, demolished 50 years ago, before I was given a chance to post this poem in every classroom. Don't know much about history. Don't know what a slide rule is for. I wrote this 35 years ago. I like to think my curiosity is just as active today as it was in that 2nd grade class. I have much greater appreciation of the moment, how beautiful being alive can be. Don't buy Judy Bond clothes. In the 2nd grade, I sat in the second last seat, first row. My pal Tommy sat in the last seat, first row. We would wax philosophic about the conditions of the world we live, circa 1960, 61. Why Yankee sluggers Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris, both last names began with the letter M. Why Detroit sluggers Rocky Colavito and Norm Cash began with the letter C. Why Superman, the Hollywood actor George Reeves, shot and killed himself. One day, this little girl who sat in the first seat, 2nd row, and was wearing a cotton dress. All the girls wore cotton dresses. Cotton was still king. I guess the Southern cotton mills were still booming after the war. And I remember going downtown Boston Saturday morning with my mother. Outside Raymond's, the working class stronghold, outside Jordan Marsh, outside Filene's would be union activists, New York accents, giving out free shopping bags, on the sides of which read, "Don't buy Judy Bond clothes." We had no idea who this Judy Bond was. Thinking back on it now, probably some scab outfit in the Carolinas trying to keep the unions out. This little girl who sat in the first seat, 2nd row, had an accident, the number 1. It must have been uncomfortable for her, so she removed her underwear. She let her dress down in front, but left it up and back. Tommy and I had this red and a little bit ruddy posterior to contemplate. Mantle, Maris, Cash, Colavito, and Superman became back burner items. At the end of the day, Tommy and I let it be known to this girl, though we sympathized with her unfortunate accident, all in all, it had been rather a pleasant day. Then I said, it must have been a Judy Bond dress responsible for the problem in the first place. Doesn't your mother read the sides of shopping bags? I've never heard of a mother who didn't. She smiled. For the rest of the year, say once every 5 or 6 weeks, she would remove her underwear and pull her dress up and back. She scrapped the number 1 angle. In no way do I mean to belittle the hard work 2nd graders had to do then or now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. It's gonna be a tough act to follow. Let's see. Luckily, we have such a poet with her pug. So let's bring up Julian Powers.
Sorry, I just need 1 second. A really short one called Rider. Aldous sang, life's leathery whip, driving the world's chariot. The horses don't want to be broken. They aren't willing captives, just pleasing masters, every whim. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. And let's move on to our final telephone, souls only telephone participant, only one of two, I should say. And let's bring back Miss Carol Weston. I'm going to help her unmute. Oops. Un momento.
Hi, I'm
Hello.
undergoing a birthday. It's my 88th, and
Today?
so this is what?
Is your birthday today?
No, it's the 29th, and
Okay.
but yeah. Anyway, this is what I wrote to a friend about a birthday. A birthday is a diving board. The swan dive springs up, spreads arms wide, head back in continuum of sun and stars, then dives forth right for the center of the earth and all knowledge hidden in those dark waters, and comes up refreshed. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, and happy birthday. We'll do something that day on the 29th. Don't know how we're related to you because you're not online, but we'll figure out something. We'll figure out something. Let's bring up now Mr. John Wesick.
Okay. When I dream of espresso bars, there is a thing in me that dreams of streets, a cultured town with plays and trendy bars, a little way from geese and shitting bears, a little way from mud and gnats and sleet. I would eat steak, I thought, and fries to spare, with wine and cake for company, to build some laughs of wild sarcasm. When I walk upon the streets among food trucks and taco stands, equally the coffee shop, its scones and Nanaimo bars, give off such hints of gladness, were it not for my expanding waist, I would eat them daily. Around me the coffee grinder whirs, an espresso machine hisses stay a while, as light smiles from its chrome facade. The city calls again with bookstores and ballet, its subway stops and traffic lights, panhandler outside the sushi bar, and green-haired kids smoking weed by the door.
These are a few of his favorite things. Okay. I figure it's been a while since anyone sang, so. Thank you, John. And now let's move up to Mr. Magister Galt.
Where we go. This one is called wall hanging, or just the hanging. Okay, just called the hanging. I still have the little hanging you gave me for Valentine's Day. I kept it because it was something you made, a piece of you I could always have. Shells strung on cords and with ribbons, hearts and red feathers were affixed to two coasters with ribbons. One of the hearts you wrote my name among bars of music to let me know that I was in your heart. And there was music there too. And I still have it hanging from a nail on the wall. And when I see it, I also hear the music that was in your heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Magister, or is it Magister, Mr. Magister Maestro? Whatever. Let's bring up next a little musical interlude from Mr. Ethan of the Macklers. And boom. And now, in lieu of Julie and Cece being absent, we have no other recourse, but it's a good recourse to get to the end and the penultimate poet on the open mic of the second round of the round robin. Unless Bill Lewis goes all Deacon Blackfire on us and tries to get us into his cult. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Looy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a piece here called I find myself almost nightly on my walks, heart walks, following my inner breath, following my long healing heart paths, back being a slice of human flesh body in the imaging machine with a line first up my arm where the vein was too small, an indication of what then would follow. And they had to go up my hip instead to long way to my heart, where they will discover one vein from lung to heart blocked and put in 2 new stents as slowly the anesthetic wears off. And I realize I'm starting to see the sparkling crescent aura effect I get when I have one of my migraine events of pixels filling, flashing in, ever more vivid, wondering, will I live? Will the stents they're installing open the blocked vein to bring back breath of daily life? Heavy panting, breathing after climbing up the stairs, sitting on the couch to gain breath, or getting so tired on walk. I've walked almost effortless before. Now I sit, unable to go on. If my heart allows me to go on at all, if I can just get out of this tomb of a machine, this narrow wedge of technology and experience the space, this fractal crescent of migraine brain function shows me I have within me flashing, indelible light experience, stress, pushing against flesh, body, sense. Thank you.
And with that, ends we end an excellent open mic. I'm gonna be looking forward to revisiting this video for the Stone Soup Crouton, which is published every Friday morning at my own personal blog, which I always send a link to. So I'm so glad to have you all for participants. And I do hope you guys, a couple of people had referenced it during the open mic. But for those of you who are listening on YouTube, I am still looking on behalf of Oddball for poems that address the idea of horror from a different perspective than just the traditional scary shit, you know, because there's a lot more new scary shit these days, a lot more. I can watch House of a Thousand Corpses with Rob Zombie, directed by Rob Zombie, and it seems quaint these days. But for those of you, oh, cute little Nico, and I love that pug. But it's those of you who might have, if you have an idea, you're not sure of it, send it to me. I'll take a look at it. You know, I'm very open to the ideas. Even I don't know what I would write if I was actually writing to get published in this. So it's anyone's guess, and I hope you guys take a stab. I hope anyone listening out there, be it the YouTube video that's being published Thursday morning or via the live stream that's playing as I speak. If you guys are interested, please send us something. And stay tuned for hopefully an announcement over the next few days of who's going to be our feature live in November, and hopefully we'll get a December wrap up as well. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that's going to happen. A lot more that's going to happen. Hopefully, more things will open up for me as I'm able to have more talks with people. We've even got a invite to go to have a feature, to have basically an event in Cambridge. I can't do that every week anymore, but I would love to do something seasonal, and this person can guarantee us a spot, and it would be great to maybe do something for the winter solstice. So with that, there will be announcements and hopefully more discussions in the weeks to come. Thanks to everyone who's been coming out and supporting the online gatherings. Thanks to everyone, especially who's been coming out and braving the live gatherings. It's still a little scary out there, but it's getting better, at least in some areas, at least for now. As I say this, I'm time stamping this at 8:55. So far, it's not that bad. But yeah, please let it stay. But all of you take care of yourselves, take care of someone else if you can. Time to do the wave. This is tradition, Robert. And now we stop in mid-wave, because if I do this and try and do a screen capture, it looks weird, oddly obscene. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming out. More things will be announced as it happens, as they happen. And 2022's going to have a great end, and 2023, well, who knows, if we live that far, I'm sure that will be great too, as we go towards Stone Soup's 52nd anniversary, and that coming May. Let's see what we do then. Thank you guys, and have yourself an excellent evening and a good rest of the week. Stay safe. Could be like this every week. All we need is you guys.
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for coming, Robert. Maybe I'll
Thank
see you on
you.
the Garage Poets gathering
Good
this
one. It
Friday.
was a good one.
Glad to see everyone. Good
Take
night.
care. Thanks, Rusty.
Great
Good
to see you
night.
all. Thank you, Chad.
See you. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Julian.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hi, Nico. Hi, Nico. Come here, Nico. Okay, she's deaf too.
It's
Okay,
either food.
fair
Good night.
enough. Good night, guys.